Hello, my name is OTTERRAK and I make things. What am I making today? I'm making this. This is Paz Vizsla. If you've watched The Mandalorian, you know exactly who this is. I've made Boba Fett, but I'm not quite Boba Fett material anymore as I've gotten older. So we're going to make Paz so that I can put on his armor and maybe do a little cosplay. I have quite a few things printed out. I'm in the middle of printing out some more, but I figured now was the perfect opportunity to get this going. This is his helmet. I printed it off in two parts. Cut out the visor that gets stuck in there so that I can take a few measurements and whatnot. But it is pretty much ready to be put together. So why not walk you through it? We can get it glued together. We can put spot putty along the seam, get it completely put together and ready to go. Now I just have a spot of glue here and here. So let's go down below and actually glue it together, get it set up right, and sand and do a little bit more Bondo. Right now I just have a few of the high spots, kind of messing around, playing with it a little bit. But let's get down on the table and get working. Let's get our camera set up a little bit better. Looks a little on the bright side, but that is okay. Because all we really need to do is work on them. Let's maybe turn the lights down a little bit. Seems to be a little better. And there it is, the two spots of super glue that I had holding them together is gone now, which is fine because we need to sand these two edges a little bit better. Let's get a sander. Get the DeWalt in here. We'll probably speed this up a little bit as we go. All right, got the little bit of sanding done there. We'll see once what this kind of looks like. Let's put a layer of super glue. Now, this Mitra Apple, this super glue right here, this stuff's amazing. It comes with this stuff, you spray it on, and it quick dries. It's the best super glue you can buy, my opinion. Hold on 1 second. All right, we'll put good layer of super glue all around. We'll put it on and we'll make sure that this spot right here is good. And the spot on the other side. And again here. That seems to be good right there. Everything's straight, flush. Put pressure down. All right. And if you blow on that, it dries. That super glue right down. Now, this model, this whole print is, I'm not sure who hold on, let me find out. I want to tell you and make sure that you know who I got the model from. DO3D. DO3D Heavy Infantry Mandalorian Paz Vizsla armor set. Model project number 6298. That is who this is. Maybe I can shut that off. Maybe that looks better. Who knows? I don't know. YouTube's weird. Brightness is weird. I don't get it. But we'll just make sure that show you how it's done. Now what we probably should do is get rid of this seam right here. That seam that goes all the way around. And the best way to do that is this stuff right here. Bondo glazing spot putty. Everyone and their dog that 3D prints knows exactly what this stuff is. And it does exactly what it needs. It does exactly what you need. Now, most people are going to tell you, oh, you need gloves for this. I don't get a feel for it when I use gloves. But what you do is you take this, and we got to get into the gap. So as you're putting it in, you force it into the gap. And it's okay if it's a little on the thick side. That does not hurt at all, because we will be sanding. The most important part is getting it into the gap, into that gap, so that it actually holds along with the super glue. You can't use this on its own, I wouldn't imagine, but you can use it in conjunction with your glues. Now, these little gaps right here and in here, not the most important thing, because we will have the side antennas that will go right in here, right in here. Let's move this camera up just a bit. Right in here, these gaps right here. If you look at old Paz here, he's got his antennas on this side and this side. So as you're thinking about it, there's going to be a thing that sits in here. So do we have to worry about inside there? Not really. Not really. Same all the way around. Push that into the gap. Stay a little thick. Doesn't hurt to be thick at all. We're going to sand that down. Now, when I cut this model, and the reason I cut it is I don't know. I just decided to cut it, I guess. Who knows? Who knows why I did what I did? I just did what I did. Everyone thinks there's the right way to do it, and there's just the way that you did it. And if you can get the job done, that's good enough for me, right? And it should be good enough for you. Now I need to grab a little hooky here. What we don't want to do is get that into here. We do have a piece going in here, so we want to make sure there isn't junk inside there. So again, run it a little thick, because once this dries, we will sand it. So I'm going to let this dry. I'll be right back. Don't worry, it'll be 2 seconds for you. 2, 1, there it is. That is the time that we needed. We are dry. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull it and bring it over to the paint booth. Because in the paint booth, we can do some sanding. So we're going to start by bringing the DeWalt over. Plug that guy in. And we're going to turn the, so maybe I should just explain it. This paint booth has a what's it called? Dust collector built into it. So whenever I paint, it pulls the dust out, the smell, pretty much when it comes to paint, and it goes up and out outside. But when I sand, it also keeps the sand down from going all over in my shop. So we're going to turn that on now. And I'll sand this and we'll speed it up again. Okay, so now that we have that kind of smoothed out, we can put on the next layer. Again, kind of the same concept. Now, see there's a bunch of red still left here and not so much here because the red needs to stay there because they weren't exactly perfect. But one more layer of filler primer, or not filler primer, glazing spot putty, and we should have that gap completely cleared out. So again, thicker than you would think because we are going to sand it all off, or 90% of it actually. And while we're doing that, another thing I tend to do in this scenario is find any other spots that kind of just where I can feel the layer lines. Not a lot, just kind of filling in layer line gaps. Kind of like that. And then just kind of spread it out. You're almost smoothing it out as you kind of go. And when we sand these portions, we're really not sanding a lot off because it's fairly smooth when we're kind of done. It's just like that. And you spread it in there. Now, this is a smoother print. There's not a lot of detail involved, so we can get away with this style of sanding. When there's more layers, not layers, designs in, the designs themselves hide your sins because there's texture. I will give you an example. So everyone's been printing this guy. Everyone's been printing. I did next to no sanding on this. This is just the print itself. Now, this black, I really didn't either because I used Flex Seal on this. So the Flex Seal hid my sins. But the point that I am making, with all of this is meant to be smooth. This is meant to be textured. So the print itself doesn't need the sanding. I used no spot putty on this, none. But this, we need smooth. So we take that spot putty and fill in the layer lines. Like here, there's really nothing, but we'll come in there. Give it a thin layer. This stuff really works well at staying connected to the print. This stuff doesn't chip. Not that I've ever seen anyway. You know, where once you've painted on it, some things, every once in a while I come across a product, it'll seem like it's adhering, but it's really not. And then it chips off. This, on the other hand, does none of that. Anywhere you kind of see that, and you spread it out past that line. Here's some layer lines that I can feel. I really don't feel any there. Doesn't hurt to take a little bit there. Just trying to hide the sins. I got a low spot here I've been actually working on. One last fill here. and the top. When you print a dome, you'll get lots of ringing. I don't know if we can show that. Right here, you can see it. You can see that ringing. And it's very important that we don't have that in the finished. By the time we're putting, what is the word? Primer. When we get to primer, you want none of that ringing. You don't want to see it at all. Now, filler primer, which is what lots of people use also in 3D printing, will help with this too. But this glazing spot putty tends to be a cheaper option, even though we're sanding most of it off. I don't know, everyone does things different. You just find your special way of doing things, really. Everyone has their tricks. Everyone has their way of doing things. One last spot right here, I think. All right. Give me 2 more seconds. Oh, let's check this here a minute. Feels pretty good there. Yep. Give me 2 more seconds and we will go back to sanding again. All right, we're back. Things look dry. Things look ready to sand. So let's bring them on over to the paint booth. And once again, we're going to do a little sanding, but before we start, $240, yeah, that seems about right. Get the duster going, and let's get it sanded. All right, now that we're at this point, I can't quite get into these edges. So what I think I'm going to do is grab some sandpaper. We'll go a little higher grit to 120 by hand. And because we're going to like 120 here, you really don't need to push down. You just kind of let the sandpaper do the job. Everywhere you put this spot putty, you gotta smooth it out. Because we don't want this kind of stuff. Right here, you can feel that there. So you're removing it, getting rid of it, smoothing it out, always smoothing it out. Come along that crease. Any high spots you might have had. A little high spot there. We don't want to go down to the cut. It's pretty good there. Oh, maybe right here. And you can kind of see the low spots will be a brighter red and not so pink. So you're just kind of removing till you just get to them spots. Just barely removed. Get rid of the 120, and we'll go to this 400 grit. Just kind of go over everything once over. Get ready. Once over here, quick. Seems about right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take and kind of wash all the dust off. I'm going to take a damp rag. Get all of that dust off. Take wipe our workspace off. Throw that away. Come with a dry rag. now we're just kind of looking and seeing if there's anything we kind of missed. There's always something missed. Always. So there is a weak spot right here. So we're going to go in and we're going to strengthen that with some glue on the other side. And there seems to be a crack forming here. It's interesting, to be quite honest with you. So let's go back and work a little bit. First thing we got to work on is this. There is a spot right in there where either the glue broke or it never took. So we're going to come in on this side and we're going to force that glue into there. I'm going to let that glue seep a little bit into there. We're going to wipe out the excess. And it's seeping into the seam that's there. Go along the whole other seam and see if there's any other weak spots, which I don't really feel. Got a few spots here. Right along here, we can see some of them layer lines. These up here aren't so serious, but these right here, I don't know if you can quite see that. Them layer lines. I don't know how I missed them, but I did. I think I was avoiding these two guys right here. Let's make sure to keep those sharp. All right. Anything else? Oh, I know what I've seen. Right here, I can feel that seam. I can't here. I can right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to come along that seam right along the back here. And then right along here, right where it was kind of breaking because of my bad glue job. Go right like that. Let that dry out. Probably a little hand sanding right there. And we will be back. All right, we're back. Let's head back over to the paint booth. All right. We have this here filler primer. Trying it out. PBE, Seymour. Never used it before. But let's try it out. We're going to start with inside the helmet. Now, inside the helmet, I am going to put a headliner. So a lot of the junk, the crap inside there, I don't know, it's not very bright. But anyway, not important to be quite honest with you. That all, just a quick primer inside the helmet. And then this guy to help rotate. Filler primer shows all of your sins, or at least this gray one does. This gray color. Which is fine. You can see them lines there, which is fine, because hopefully this works like my other filler primers, where once it dries, it kind of, when you sand it, kind of fills in the lines a little bit. I don't know. We'll get it on. We'll see once what it's doing. I always kind of put a double coat on to start. That's just me anyway. It seems to dry pretty quick, to be quite honest with you, which is nice. we will let this dry and come back in about 20 minutes. Okay, so it's been right at 20 minutes-ish, I don't know, 25. But what we're going to do now is let's get the right sandpaper, probably 400 grit. Yes. So we're going to put 400 grit onto the DeWalt here. I'm going to clean out my filter. So we're using 400 grit to go smooth, and it should fill in a little bit. We'll just get it into it. I think we might need to do the hand sanding on this. This is actually drying a little quicker than I was expecting it to. I think I can go, I think I can put just another layer right on top of it. Get that compressor going. I think I'm a super fan of this stuff. Holy cow. I've used filler primer on all kinds. I've used different brands. And this honestly sticks, doesn't run, and just fills. There's a little run there. We're going to get a drip right there. But I think I can come back onto it a little quicker than 20 minutes. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm going to give it 10 minutes. I'll be back in 10. All right, we went a little thick before, so I waited 15. That's yes. So you can tell it's a little damp yet, but we can take kind of a soft touch to it. And what it does, I'm using 400 grit. is it kind of fills in. It fills in because it feels kind of like clay is the best word I would use for it. Not a wet clay, but not dry either. Right there. I got a fingerprint right there, to be quite honest with you. I might be a little too damp yet. There's a sweet spot with this stuff, with a filler primer, where it kind of fills in. I might be pushing it here a little bit. Okay, I might be pushing it here just a little bit. It's a little... It's a little damp yet. It's almost making, it's chipping just a little bit. Now, for this, it's really not the worst thing in the world. And the reason I say that is because of what is happening with this. Now, if you were doing the Mandalorian, where it was like a chrome, this would be major problems. But because this has paint chips, it adds to the character. Like this right here. I got this spot right here. The 3D print itself it's got almost a chip in there. I've kind of left that in, to be quite honest with you, just because I can, how do I put this? This is going to be done in layers. You'll have a chrome layer, darker, like gunmetal color, then the blues go on. Paz. So we're gonna let this sit just a little bit longer. All right, I think we should be good here. 400 grit, and we'll just go over everything. Look at that. Isn't that looking amazing? Now I have something going on right here. Let me see if I can kind of resolve that. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Look at that. Look. at that. That guy is ready for paint. And honestly, I think this is the end of the video. Because if I'm right, this is a pretty long video just to show the prep. Just to show the prep on how you go from really a raw print. I know I had a little bit of stuff done already, but it was pretty much a raw print. I'm really excited for the inside of here. It's got some color, or some texture and character. I'm really kind of excited on painting the inside of that even. So we are ready. We are ready for paint. Now, I think what we need to do before we paint is probably get the visor in. So I'm imagining in the next video, we'll take this and mount it in. Now, you can glue it. I am not going to glue it. I'm going to make it removable. And I don't know, I get a kick out of making it look like it's supposed to go in there, I guess. That's not to say that I haven't had one plan that completely failed and had to go a completely different way. I may end up gluing it in eventually, or anyway, but we're going to attempt to manually put it in, probably in the next video. So, my name is OTTERRAK. Thanks for watching.